All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 503 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. Today, we're going to give some thanks. We're going to give some props. We're going to give some appreciation and give the flowers to Georgia Southern quarterback Cal Vantrease. I think that it is well warranted. I love the fact that he decided to come to Statesboro and put on a show. He put on a magnificent show throughout the season. There were some ups and downs, but for the most part, this kid balled out. And I want to let him know, let his, I think his father know, Mr. Vantrease was always on Twitter, and let everyone who knows of this quarterback that this guy has been appreciated and will forever be one of the catalysts in the one of the pillars in Georgia Southern football history. There's no denying that. Knowing where Georgia Southern came from a run first option team, from running a triple option to perfection, to actually winning championships with that style of play, to going through the down times of trying to find an identity, to back to going to the spread option, which actually gave us some success, to go into an offense that never really was thought about in Georgia Southern football, the program, and to take the reins of that opportunity and make it to what it is today, basically transforming this program. Cal Vantrease is definitely one of many, one of the handful of people that gave us a new identity at Georgia Southern. So I want to thank him. I want to let him know that he is appreciated, not only by me here at First and Frame Rates, or just the fan base in general. I don't know how everyone feels, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I do, but I know a lot of us appreciate what he's done because he's put us on the map to be a more of a dynamic, more exciting. And I'm not saying like the triple option wasn't exciting, because it was, but a more exciting, more modern style offense that's actually bringing a much more attractive audience and attractive players to the program. We're going to talk about Cal Vantrease, his stats, and I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on the games that he played that were meaningful to me. And I just wanted to let him know that he's appreciated here. So that's going to be awesome. So before I get into that, if this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I'm also found on Twitter at VF Baller if you want to follow me on Twitter, where I talk about things that don't make it to the show. Also, the Discord, the link is down in the description. I highly recommend you join the Discord. The Discord is phenomenal. A lot of knowledge over there. A lot of guys who are doing their, and women that are doing their work as far as giving information out about what's going on with the program and where it's going. I highly recommend it. Go over there and join the Discord. Link is down in the description. Last but not least, this show is sponsored by BetUS. Click that link down in the description. Put down $100 and get 125% bet bonus. You can put bets down on the rest of these NFL games, the playoffs that are coming up, the college football playoffs, those bowl games, NBA, MMA, and even esports, and everything else under that umbrella. Put down some wages. When you put that $100 down, you would get 125% bet book bonus, and you can find your way into doubling and maybe tripling or quadrupling your money. So all that information is down there. Go ahead and check that out. Morgan State. I don't want to talk about the offseason too much. I mean, I talked about last year's offseason a lot, but Morgan State, that game against Morgan State was the game that a lot of people were kind of nervous about. It was pretty nervous, and rightfully so. Didn't know what type of offense we're going to see. I think the first play of the game we had, I can't remember. I think it was a run play, so a lot of people were like, what's going on here? But the team ended up exploding, and it all started with the arm of Cal Vantrease. Cal Vantrease winning that game 29-46, 367 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Ended up beating that team 59-7. So we looked at that like, okay, we got something here. The first game, Cal Vantrease pulls out, something that we never thought that we was going to see. 300-yard passing game on a debut. Passing was not our forte, so we were kind of shocked to see that. Going into Nebraska, I already felt confident. I said this from the offseason that I felt like we were going to beat Nebraska. We are going to go up to Nebraska and beat them. And we did. We beat them 45-42. It was a phenomenal game. Ended up going 37-56, 409 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So that game was like, okay, you're a little upside down in the touchdown interception ratio. But hey, you won the game. And if you're looking on the screen, you see the touchdown run that Kyle Vantrease had. It was a phenomenal dive into the end zone. At this point, honestly, I didn't think much of it in the Morgan State game, but in this game, I knew we had a leader at quarterback. I knew of him back at Buffalo. I heard about him before. I didn't know much of him because I didn't watch the games, but I knew of him, and that's when I noticed that we had a leader. The game against UAB, 35-21, this is a game I thought we were going to lose. I really thought it was going to lose. And Kyle Vantrease came in, played fairly well. This is the only game that he was under 50% passing. He was 24 of 50, 204 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. That game kind of got ugly because the running game of UAB was actually pretty good. We weren't able to move the ball very well, and they controlled the clock. So he ended up winning that game, and it was kind of expected. Double back once again, we played against Ball State, 310 yards that he threw for 26-39. And you look at a lot of these games where the phenomenal plays that was done with the Derwin Burgess of the world, like we go back to the Morgan State game, the one-handed catch, and a couple other games that Derwin Burgess done a phenomenal job. Jeremy Singleton and wasn't Amari Jones. You also had a situation with Sam Kennerson had a pretty good game, but the Nebraska game, that's when he tore his knee up and he was out for the season. Can't wait for him to come back. But when you have a situation like this where in the the Ball State game, we put it all together, 26-39, 310, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, just some phenomenal plays throughout that game as well. The Coastal Carolina game was another game that we played pretty well in. He was 26 of 43, 284, 60% passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. This game, the next 2 games, Coastal Carolina and Georgia State, these games they were very winnable. We should have won these games, but we didn't. We fell short. And this one, I'm gonna be honest. I had times where I questioned Kyle Vantrease sometimes, especially when some of the passes were like ill-advised, like the first touchdown pass of the season. But there was other games, and I started to look at that in some of the Coastal Carolina, UAB, the Georgia State game, where Georgia State, he threw for 360, but he had 4 interceptions that game. And I started to question things like, yeah, he's the leader of the team, but maybe he's doing a little bit too much. I kind of worried about that for a little bit. So like I said, there was some ups and downs in this in this season. And I nobody's perfect, and nobody's going to be able to perform at a high level all the time. You're going to have bad games. And to be quite honest, I think this was really the only bad game he had, the one against Georgia State, 30 of 49. The numbers don't look bad, 360, 3 touchdowns with 4 interceptions. This game right here was a game I really wish we didn't lose. Georgia State, for some reason, those guys have our number. Hopefully we'll be able to turn that around. Speaking of turning around, we went back to Paulson and played number 25, James Madison. And that game, Kyle Vantrease just went crazy. He went lights out crazy. 38 for 64, 578 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. And I don't even think that interception was really on him, if I go back to remember. He just balled out. Almost throwing for 600 yards in a game. Torched James Madison. And this is when I know, like, okay, he has the ability to bounce back. And usually he does. There's one thing about Kyle Vantrease nobody really talks about. Like, if something goes wrong in the game, he usually finds a way to bounce back and overcome. And most of the time I've seen him do that throughout the season. This was a bounce back game for him. They went into Paulson and beat up on James Madison. The score doesn't look like it, but if you look at those passing yards, man, we torched those guys. double back went to Old Dominion. Old Dominion had a pretty good pass rush, but was able to negate that with a running game. And this is one of the games where Vantrease, well, the only game where Vantrease threw for under 200 yards, 22 of 27, 192, 85% completion percentage, one touchdown, no interception. This game was an excellent game plan drawn up by Brian Ellis and company. These guys knew that Old Dominion could try to get after the quarterback. So what they did, they started running the ball and they flipped the script on Old Dominion and they couldn't recover. Now, after that, we went through a 3-game losing streak. And it looked really bad. The USA game, the South Alabama game, that was the Ladarius Webb game. He ran through our defense. We ended up losing that game 38-31, though. So you got to understand, like, even with all of that, we only lost by a touchdown. When you look at the Georgia State game, we turned the ball over 5 times, including the 4 interceptions and a fumble, and we only lost by 8. We were literally one stop away of beating Coastal Carolina. So all of these games that we're losing, and honestly, outside of the UAB game, I think it was overwhelmed by UAB. But outside of the UAB game, all of these games were very winnable at that point. The Louisiana game, I'll get to that in a second. Even though that Ladarius Webb ran through our team pretty well, Vantrease threw for 278, 26 of 45, 278, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The UL game, the Louisiana game, that game just got away from us like quickly. I did say the UAB game was the game that got away from us, and we was overwhelmed. I will admit that the UL game was actually another one that got away from us. Vantrease played pretty good in that game, 28 of 49, 325, 1 touchdown, no interception. The Marshall game is the game that I attended, and that game just didn't look too good. The game just looked really flat. It looked nobody really wanted to play. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it was because what it was. I don't know what it was. I just don't know. But this was the only game that Vantrease was sacked more than once. He went 22 of 39, 205 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So after the 3-game losing streak, everybody thought that we were just going to be, at 5-6. We was going to end up being 5-7. Don't get in a bowl game, and then we play Appalachian State. Appalachian State is our foe, is our main rival. I don't care what Georgia State says. And, Georgia State can have fun. They have a winning percentage against us. That's on the plus side. They have every right to gloat. But they have to understand, we take it as a rivalry, but they're not our main rival. Appalachian State has been our main rival for decades. And with that being said, we went into Paulson. They came to Paulson, and if they were looking for a fight, they got one. 51-48 in double overtime. Vantrease, 35 of 52, 389, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. The game-winning touchdown to Ezra Archie is one of the biggest moments that I can remember in football history. I sat right over here and watched it on my TV. I watched it. I had a reaction video on Twitter, and I was so happy that we beat Appalachian State. It put icing on the cake for the regular season, beating your foe the way that we beat them in dramatic fashion to go to a bowl game. You couldn't ask for better than that. That was a phenomenal way to end the season. So that with that alone, if everything ended right there, it would have been great. Now, don't get me wrong, us going to a bowl game was able to represent our school at the Camellia Bowl once again. It was awesome. And we end up going up against Vantrease's former team, which is the Buffalo Bulls. This game here, this was probably one of the most disappointing games that I've seen. I know you talk about the loss to UAB, the loss to Coastal Carolina. You can even look at the other losses that we had. The only problem I have with this game, and it's not on Vantrease, is just that the offense themselves never got into a rhythm. And I know people want to say it starts with the quarterback. But when the quarterback throws for 28 for 45, 352 yards, and a touchdown, 2 touchdowns and an interception. The interception was not what we needed, but I will say this. We needed to get into the end zone those first 2 times in the red zone. That's basically what it was. We ended up losing by 2 points, but those 6 points that we got off field goals should have been 14. And that was kind of, disappointing to see. But nevertheless, Kyle Vantrease played another pretty good game. He played another pretty good game. He did fairly well. And you can't ask for more than that from your quarterback for throwing for over 300 yards. So it kind of sucks because when you think you throw for over 300 yards, you think you're going to put up more than 21 points. But that's the way the season ended. And I don't want to get into the season as a whole. This is a Kyle Vantrease episode. And once again, I want to thank him. Thank you for putting up 4,253 yards, throwing for 27 touchdowns, 16 interceptions overall. Longest pass of the season was 79 yards, and a total quarterback rating of 130. I mean, you can't really ask for more than that. A QBR 64, completion percentage of over 60%. I would like to see the interceptions come down a little bit, but overall, I'm really, really thankful for this kid coming to our school and being a leader, being being the quarterback that, to be honest, I thought we would never have. I never thought we'd have a quarterback like this at Georgia Southern. I know the J-Bo Shaws of the world, that was good to see him playing for Georgia Southern, but Kyle Vantrease was slightly, if not definitely, on another level. And you just can't ask for more than that. Now, where does Georgia Southern go from here? I may make another video on that because I did put out a episode about what's next for Georgia Southern, but the quarterback position is going to be it's going to be a debate for content. It's going to be a pretty good debate. Because in my Discord right now, you have people now saying that they want another transfer to come in. And I'm not necessarily against it. I'm not. I mean, if for all of this person, we may need another quarterback to come in from another school. But this is my personal opinion. It'd be great if it happens. But right now, because I don't know what it is, and this is subject to change because, January is usually when you get transfers in. I'm putting my money on Colton Fitzgerald right now. It's something about that kid that I like. I think he can be a pretty decent quarterback in this offense. It seems like he was able to sit here and learn behind Kyle Vantrease. And I think if we do go in to another season, go into the next season with him being quarterback one, I'll be okay with that. Now, I know it may not be popular. I know that there's some people that feel differently or whatever the case may be, and that's fine. That's what it's for. I'm not right. You're not right. You're not wrong. I'm not wrong. It's just that the way some, people feel about certain things. I feel okay if we get a transfer to come in. I'm okay with that. But if we don't, the sky's not falling. I think that we'll be okay. I'm not sure we'll get these type of numbers that Kyle Vantrease pulled up, because Kyle put up some phenomenal numbers game in and game out. But at the end of the day, I think Kyle Vantrease was able to set the tone on what Georgia Southern can, is about and what Georgia Southern can do if we got a really nice arm under center. So once again, I want to thank him for that because he helped transform this program. And I can't thank him enough. As far as what happens next with Kyle Vantrease needs to get looked at by an NFL program. I'm not saying he needs to be drafted or whatever the case may be. I would love to see him get drafted because the quarterback position in this upcoming draft looks kind of thin. I would love to see him get drafted, but somebody in the NFL needs to look at him. I think he has some tools to be successful at the NFL level. There's some things that needs to be fixed up a little bit. I know he tried to force the ball a little bit. He's a true gunslinger. He likes to throw the ball. If he just tightens that up just a little bit, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be a great asset to an NFL team, especially in a passing league like this. Give him some protection, give him some time. He will make the right reads on a lot of these plays that are put out here for receivers or put out for him. So hopefully we'll see how that goes. I don't know if he's going to declare. I don't know if he's going to get, if a scout has been looking. I'm pretty sure some scouts have been looking. I mean, you don't put up the fourth best, yards in the country and not get looked at by somebody. So wherever he goes, I'm going to be rooting for him. I want to thank him again. You have been a phenomenal asset to the Georgia Southern program. Can't thank you enough. And wherever you go, trust and believe we're going to be following you no matter what. So if you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think about Cal Vantrease. Do you think he's done a phenomenal job for Georgia Southern? Would you like it if you'd have done a little bit more? Are there some things about the season that you loved? Are there some things that you didn't like? Let me know if you're on YouTube or Rumble in the comment section, or let me know on Twitter. I could be found at VF Baller. Also, I could be found on YouTube and Rumble, Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. You guys enjoy your weekend. I will probably be talking Falcons maybe on the next upload I do on YouTube, not necessarily on the podcast. So find me on YouTube, First and Frame Rates. I'll probably be talking about the Falcons because the Falcons, there's a lot to talk about over there when it comes to the last two games that they're playing. So we'll go with that, and I'll just check in with you guys then. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.